Okay, so at some point in your life, you're probably going to have to finance something, whether it be a new or used car, a house, some big purchase that most people don't have the cash in pocket to pay for. So you contact some sort of lending service, a bank, a credit union, something like that, and you acquire what's called an installment loan. Basically, that is the type of loan where you make monthly payments over a period of time to pay for the item that you purchased. Now, those monthly payments will be the exact same every single month. And what we might get into down the road is how much of your payment each month goes towards what you actually borrowed and the finance charge. So over the next few days, we're going to kind of inspect this and break it down and look at, first of all, our monthly payments, how much we're actually going to have to pay, and then how much you actually pay back. Because hopefully at this point in your life, you guys realize if you borrow money from a bank, you're not going to pay back exactly what you borrow. So what I mean by that is if you borrow $100, you're going to pay back 100 plus whatever their finance charge is, which is usually a percentage of what you borrowed. Again, stuff we'll get into a little bit later. But for today, I want to show you guys how to calculate your monthly payments as simply as possible. So there are a lot of different pieces that you'll need to figure out what your monthly payment is if you do this kind of algebraically. I'm going to try and make this as straightforward as possible where you don't need a whole lot of information. What I mean by that is the formula to calculate your monthly payment has about 5 different variables in it. I'm going to try and make it way simpler than that. Okay, so when you borrow money, a portion every single month, a portion of your payment is going to go towards the money that you actually borrowed, and a portion of that payment is going to go to the finance charge or the percentage extra that you're owing. Okay, each month that is going to change, and hopefully that'll make a little bit more sense later on. But that very first payment you make, you're paying mostly finance charge, and then very little towards the principal. And then towards the end of the life of your payment, that flip flops and you're paying very little interest and mostly principal. The finance charge that you pay back depends on what's called an APR, annual percentage rate. That is a fixed percentage based on a yearly loan. So like if it is a 12% APR, you're paying 1% back every month. So it's cumulative over the course of the year, if that makes sense. Again, that's not something I'm going to ask you guys to kind of play around with. I think I've got this a little more streamlined. So there's a pretty straightforward formula that I'm going to ask you guys to use. So let's say that we borrowed $1,200 for whatever. It doesn't even matter what we're buying, just how much we borrowed. So if we borrowed $1,200, what we're going to do with that amount is we're going to divide it by 100, which I'll explain why in a second, and then we're going to multiply it by a dollar amount that we're going to find on this table that I'm going to show you guys here in a second too. If we were in person, this would be a whole lot easier. I could just give you a copy of the table and kind of talk about it and do my lesson at the same time. Doing it this way, I'm going to have to flip back and forth a little bit, so I hope you can kind of bear with me on that. So the reason we are dividing this by 100, just to kind of streamline this process and to make it a little easier for you to calculate, you're not going to have to really do much when it comes to calculating the dollar amount of your payment. So this table, I need to talk about this for a minute. Okay, so what this table is, and I realize this print is kind of small. I've blown it up and left a single page copy of it as an attachment to your assignment so you can look at it as you need be. So what this does is it basically calculates all the different payments for a $100 loan from 8% all the way up to 18%, and in 6 months increments from 6 months to 60 months. So 60 months is, if you're not sure, is 5 years. Okay. We list the term in months because we make monthly payments on our loans. Okay. So here's why that formula asks us to divide by 100. So let's go back to that. I'm going to even go simpler than that. Let's say it's a $200 loan instead of a $1,200 loan. Okay, let's say we borrow $200 from the bank for 6 months and we'll do 11% interest. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look up this part on our table, 6 months, 11% interest. So 6 months, 11% interest. If this were a $100 loan, we would pay back $17.21 every single month for 6 months. But it is a $200 loan. So if I'll go back and kind of highlight that formula again. If you go back and look at this formula, right? The formula says take the amount of your loan, in this case $200, and we're going to divide it by 100. Well, that's pretty simple right there. 200 divided by 100 is 2. So we're going to take 2 times whatever I think it was 1761, 2 times that dollar amount. Well, this was for $100. So if I double that, that's a payment for $200. This part right here is calculating, this chunk right here is calculating the multiplier of our table value. Okay. So if we had, say, a $500 loan, right? 500 divided by 100. So our multiplier is 5. And then we multiply that by whatever our payment would have been from the table. All right. This part is kind of automated. You take your dollar amount divided by 100, and that calculates how many times that $100 payment you're making. Okay. So if I change this, let's say instead of 6 months at 11%, let's say I do 48 months at 12%, which I don't know why you would need to take out a 4-year loan for $200, but whatever. So $48 at 12%, 12%, 48 months. You would pay $2.63 every single month for a $100 loan. So we're going to divide that by 100. We're going to have 2 times that $2.63 every single month. So our payment there is going to be 263 times 2. We would pay $5.26 every single month. Right? So you're going to adjust this based on that multiplier for each month. Let's actually do an actual problem here. Okay, so let me clear out this again. So Blake is purchasing a $1,400 four-wheeler. The store is offering 12% APR financing for 12 months. 12%, 12 months. So I need that out of my table. 12%, 12 months. $8.88. Okay, so Blake, his $1,400, we're going to divide that by 100. And then if it were a $100 loan, it would be $8.88 a month. So he's going to be paying $1,400 divided by 100 is 14 times 888. So Blake's payment is going to be $124.32. Okay. The tricky part to kind of wrap your head around, I think, is this part right here. You take whatever the loan amount is divided by 100. If you don't want to do it that way, good luck trying to find the formula and use it to actually do it straightforward. This is the easiest way I could find to do it without us actually being in person for me to explain the 5 different variables in the formula. Okay. These aren't going to change. They're not going to get any harder. You've got to get the basics of this down. So Ingrid purchases a $4,000 gazebo. We're going to divide that by 100. And then I need to look up the 10% for 36 months. So I'm going to have to jump back to my table here. 10%, 36 months, $3.23 will be her payment on that. So $3.23 will be her payment. So 4,000 divided by 100. And we're going to multiply that by 323. That's 40, by the way. So $3.23 times 40 is $192.20. Okay. The homework's real short. There's just, I think, like 5 questions. You have to, first of all, look up that table value and then put that in the cell, and then calculate the monthly payment, and then put that in the cell. Again, they're gray. They will turn green if you're right. Watch your rounding.